Thank you, sir. Shelley, I get everybody to do this. It's just my journalist nature. Can I get you to state and spell your first and last name and give us your title, which would be parent?
Okay, yeah. Shelley Wineland, Shelley Wineland. Parent.
That's fine. So you were a part of a committee that did a great deal of work over a long period of time that ultimately resulted in the facility steering committee. Tell me a little bit about what that process was like and who all was included in that process.
Yeah, so it was over about a 4 to 5 month period. I came onto the project when they had done the building assessment. And what I liked is there were people from all over the community, parents, teachers, staff, community members. So it felt very holistic in the people that were included and the viewpoints that were given. So that part I liked. I also liked how we tackled building by building to understand what were the needs of each building before we came up with a comprehensive recommendation. But the thing that I appreciated the most is we started with the student at the core. So it's not about what we think or what we want. It's about what does the student need to thrive and continue for Indian Hill to be the best in class school in the country.
You had some very distinct guiding principles through this process. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about those?
Yeah, so our first guiding principle, which I just, well, let me start over because we may cut that. 1 second.
Yeah, take a look over it.
Yeah, before I get into that. Okay. Yeah, so I'd like to talk, the guiding principles were the first thing that we put into place. So when we got into a debate or had a disagreement or a discussion, we could go back to why are we here and what are our guiding principles. The first guiding principle is a safe, supportive, collaborative learning environment for all students and staff. The second was, okay, now Sam, I just thought, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
I just need to state them. Hang on. Okay. Okay. So our guiding principles were extremely important. And in fact, when we had a disagreement or we wanted to debate a little bit, we went back to the guiding principles. The number one guiding principle, which is the most important, is a safe, supportive, collaborative learning environment for the teachers, students, and staff. That one came up a lot and we went back to it. And in our proposal, you'll see where we stayed true to that as we went through the recommendations. The second was the things that are going to be coming up in the infrastructure that are going to need to be done in the next 10 years. Let's go ahead and address those because those are kind of the must-haves. Then the second was whatever we come up with, make sure it's adaptable for the future, so that we can grow into the space and 5 years from now we won't look back and wish we would have. And then the fourth one, they can cut and then add, right?
Yes,
Sorry.
We can cut. It's no big deal.
And then the fourth one was that we have, we optimize our financial resources. Of course, we want to make really smart decisions. And a good example of that one, can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll start over on that one.
Sure.
And the fourth one was optimizing our financial resources. Of course, we want to make smart decisions. We can't have an ask for the moon. So an example of that is a natatorium. That was something that came up, and we have a lot of great swimmers in the district. And someone had brought that up. And the cost of that alone is 10 to 12 million just to build, and then the upkeep of that just seemed not reasonable for this point in time. Not to say that it's not important, but that was like a choice that we made, like on the financial part in our recommendation.
Tell me how you felt. Tell me how you felt about the recommendation that came out of the committee.
So I feel like the recommendation one is true to the guiding principles, which is where we started. Two, I feel like we did a great job of not, what we didn't want to do is look back 10 years and say, oh, I wish we would have. So I think 10 years from now, we may need to do some, but we'll have addressed the major concerns, and we'll be in a good place. And we'll, okay, can I do that again?
Absolutely.
So I feel that the recommendation overall is very strong. One, it goes back and addresses the guiding principles that we established in the beginning. Two, I really feel comfortable that 10, 15 years from now, if the recommendation moves forward and is approved, that we won't look back and wish we would have, because what we tried to do is make it good for now, next, and in the future, and things will change. I mean, the landscape continues to evolve, and so we're hoping that, we're hoping, the intent is that we could grow into the space. And then I guess finally, I'm excited that, you know, the recommendation will keep Indian Hill where it is. I mean, we are best, you know, rated the top schools in the country. And how do you do that? You have to stay in front, not only in, you know, what we're teaching, but it's the environment in which the kids learn and grow in.
Absolutely. This one thing that you and I had just talked about that I find interesting, and I think it's a good point to make. Your own children won't actually maybe even see the benefit of this, but you still feel like it's important to move forward with it? Tell me why.
Yeah, so when I started with the committee, I was thinking about when will this really come to fruition. And it's interesting, neither one of my kids, I've got twins, they're freshmen, and they will probably not see the fruits of this, you know, the outcome. However, that's not what's important. It's not about me. It's about the district, it's about the future, it's about the students, and it's about the community. And so it would have been easy for me to say, well, this doesn't impact me or my children, so I don't have time for it. But that's not why I did it. I did it because, you know, of community, student, the future, and learning.
What is the one message you would want all other residents to know about the work that was done and about the recommendation that was brought forward? What's the one thing that you would want to tell your neighbors?
Yeah, so I would say we didn't.
Let's wait till that's
Okay.
That's probably
That's
okay.
good.
Now we're good.
If it's hard to sum it up in one thing, because I feel like we did a comprehensive look at what was existing, what's kind of the state of the art as you look around other districts, and then what does the future look like as best we know it. And I feel, and we did some benchmarking as far as also like from a taxpayer standpoint, and I really feel like it's a recommendation that I don't know what we would have done different and looked at or what we missed. I feel like it's, I guess, comprehensive. And I would say it's a well-rounded perspective. Again, staff, parents, as well as community that have input. And we all agree, you know, it's, again, aligning to the guiding principles helps discern and give direction to the eventual outcome.
Absolutely. Anything else you want to add?
That was that great.
That was perfect. I felt like everything you said was great.
Let me see. Would you want me to redo those four so I don't have to stop?
That is totally up to you.
What do you think I could do better?
I don't think that you could do anything better. I thought it was perfect.
Did I not smile?
I thought it was great. You smiled. No.
Let me just.
If you are feeling uncomfortable about the guiding principles, you are welcome to reiterate that one. Restate that.
Do you think I told enough about why they should believe in the recommendation? I don't know. The one thing is, I don't know if I should have put in on the natatorium. I think we should, I should leave that part
We can
out.
take that out.
Because what will happen is someone will say, well, she said 12 million. Bet I could build that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let me do those over.
Sure, absolutely.
And then especially that number 4, I want to leave that out because if someone were to
Yep.
look at that,
No,
then it's like the big, it just
It's a good point.
debunks and doesn't give us credit.
It's a good point.
Okay. Products provided by our taxpayers. Okay. Okay, so our guiding principles were fourfold. The first is safe, supportive, collaborative environment for all students and staff to learn. Our second was the the infrastructure needs that need to happen over the next 10 years, we need to address and put in there. They are going to be addressed anyway, so let's include them. Oh, I screwed that up. Sorry. I know you're like, seriously, lady.
No, not at all.
I just want us to get our money. Okay, can you, if you,
You may hold it?
yeah, because I can look at it. I know that sounds crazy.
No, not at all.
Okay,
That's actually a brilliant idea.
Can you come a little bit closer to me?
I think so.
Can she, I'm sorry, just so I can. You're like, yeah, you're not in there yet.
Here's what we can do.
Oh, put the chair.
Let's do this.
Oh,
How about that? And then we can do it right.
as long as I don't, do I look like I'm looking down when I look at it?
If you're just glancing, it should be fine. Can you see it from there? Gosh, can you see?
Yeah, I know. I know. You're like, are you blind, lady?
No, I'm impressed that you could see it.
Whoa. Okay. When I do this, does it look
That
like
looks
I'm looking
natural.
down?
No, it looks if you just glance down like that, it's gonna look natural, like you're just in thought.
Okay.
And then look over here, like you're still looking at me. Here.
I want to get something that I could like set it there so I can look like I'm looking at you. Do you see what I'm saying? Is there?
Like where you could put it right here.
Well, I just want to like. Is there something?
You want something to hold that?
Just something so I could prop it like this. So I. Thank you. I know I'm high maintenance. Am I your highest video?
Either one of these tables?
Yeah, that's fine. That's
I'll look
perfectly
at that.
fine.
Or I can use them
So that table will be fine.
Yeah, this is the right height.
Probably the right height.
I think this is probably the right height.
together. Oh, you're.
Heather gave up her chair for me.
Wait on the Swiss places.
I just think this is such an important point. I don't want to screw it up.
No, it's perfect. I think I agree with you. It's very important.
And I don't want to be like, did anyone else talk about these?
They didn't.
Okay.
Monique, a little bit, but not in depth for each one.
Okay. There, now does it look like I'm talking to you?
Yes, that's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good.
Okay. I'll do it and then you can tell me if it looks like I'm reading it. So there were 4 guiding principles that we used throughout the process that I found so important. And whenever we had a disagreement or we wanted to debate, we went back to the guiding principles. And there were 4 of them. The first one is to allow students and staff to thrive in a safe, supportive, accessible, collaborative learning environment. This is so important. The second one was to address infrastructure and energy improvements needed within the next 10 years. If we're going to have to do them, let's just put them in the proposal. The second one was to benchmark amongst,
Third. Is that the third?
yeah,
That's okay.
that's good, okay.
Here's what I'm thinking.
I'm
too.
reading too much now,
no,
aren't I?
But here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking what we can do is put a graphic up over you while you're saying the 4, showing each of them. So just look
Ooh.
down and read that portion, and then we'll pop back up to you. on
That's
camera.
awesome.
Let's just do
So
that.
I'll do the preamble.
You do the pre, then go through and read, then come out and give your close.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So there were 4 guiding principles that we used throughout the process that I felt really good about. And we defined those up front. So when we got into debates or when we got into the recommendation, we could go back and check off to ensure that we were delivering against them. And there were 4, and they're very important. The first one is to allow all students and staff to thrive in a safe, supportive, accessible, and collaborative learning environment. The second was to address infrastructure and energy improvements needed within the next 10 years. The third was to benchmark amongst comparable learning environments while providing a flexible and adaptable space and recommendation for future needs. And then the final one was to optimize financial resources provided by our taxpayers to benefit students, staff, and community members for the next 20 years. These are so important, and in our recommendation, we use those to guide. I will tell you, though, the number one thing in here is safety, and that is throughout our recommendation and our schools. When you look across, that is really an opportunity, so I would say that was a non-negotiable one. Nevertheless, I'm really blah, blah, blah. I shouldn't have added that one at the end.
That was great. Do you want to do it again?
Yeah, let's do it again.
We'll do it one more
If you don't
time.
mind. Okay, because now I'm getting it. Okay, so we had 4 guiding principles. Oh. Okay, so we had 4 guiding principles that we used throughout the process that were so incredibly important. Why? Because when we had a disagreement or when we were coming up with the final recommendation, we went back and checked against the 4 of them to ensure that we were delivering on the purpose of the building committee. They are, okay, I need to start because my eyes look down. Okay. We had 4 guiding principles that were so incredibly important throughout the process. Why? Because when we had a debate or when we made the final recommendation, we ensured that we were delivering against those that we felt would introduce the best end product. There were 4 guiding principles. They are, 1, we would allow students and staff to thrive in a safe, supportive, accessible, and collaborative learning environment. 2, we would address any infrastructure and energy improvements needed within the next 10 years. 3, we would benchmark against comparable K through 12. Okay, that's a really, I gotta
Do it again.
do it again.
It's the beauty of recorded TV.
I know. Okay, okay, get it together, Shelley. Okay. So we had 4 guiding principles, and they were so incredibly important. 1, we defined them before we started the building committee to ensure that our debates, our recommendation would net out and come back and stick to the core of the purpose of us being together. Okay. We had 4. Whoa! Okay, get it together. Okay. We used 4 guiding principles throughout the process. They are so incredibly important because when we had debates, when we had our final recommendation, we wanted to make sure we stayed true to our purpose. We had 4 of them, and they are: 1, we allowed students.
Just started from right there. We can cut that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, allow students and staff to thrive in a safe, supportive, accessible, and collaborative learning environment. Number 2, we wanted to address infrastructure and energy improvements needed within the next 10 years. Number 3, we benchmarked against comparable K through 12 learning environments while staying true and flexible to an adaptive future need should that occur. And then number 4, optimize financial resources provided by our taxpayers to benefit staff and community members for the next 20 years. I should probably say that number 3 again.
You can do number 3.
Okay.
We can cut that in.
Number 3, benchmark amongst comparable K through 12 learning environments while providing flexibility to adapt for any future needs we may have.
Perfect.
Okay.
Do you want to do a closer on that?
Yeah, what's a good closer? Okay. Okay. So these 4 guiding principles, we used it throughout the process, and they were so important. Okay, that's not a close. That's how I started it. What's my close? So these guiding principles were used throughout the process and revisited multiple times to ensure we were delivering on the Let me read something real quick on this. This is just, I just feel like, for these people that understand telecommunication resources. Heather, if I do this again, I promise I'll write my script.
You're fine. Shelley, I worked in broadcast. I would have done it a million times until I was happy.
Do you think in there say, does anybody talked about we didn't take, the majority of the team was aligned? Does anybody talk about that? I don't even know if that's important.
I think Bear talked a little bit about not everyone was 100%, but there was consensus. I think that's the way I'm going back now.
Yeah, that's good.
Remember, but I think that he kind of addressed that.
So you know what that's actually a good close for me, because I can say, while we all had different points of view,
Yes.
we could align to these 4 principles.
Yeah,
So that's
a great close.
how I'll bring it home.
Yeah.
Okay, da-da-da. So these 4 principles were extremely important. While we all had different points of view on what the recommendation should look like, at the end of the day, whenever we were in disagreement or wanted to move forward faster, we would go back, look at the guiding principles, have a discussion, and for the most part had a majority consensus as we move forward throughout the process. That's what makes me feel confident that our recommendation is a good one. Okay, you know what I think I should do? Now let me do that whole thing, try to do it in a good way. Okay, so I'll start off with, okay. Before we started, let's see, how big of a journey was it? Was it a 5-month journey? 2 to 4 Canada?
I'd say it was a year-long journey.
Yeah.
If you look at the full process.
Okay. But this didn't, okay. All right. Before the building committee started our journey, what we did is we aligned on 4 guiding principles, and they were so critical. Okay. Before we started our year-long journey on the building committee, what we did is we defined 4 guiding principles that we all could align to. So as we had disagreements or when we wanted to make a recommendation, we could all go back to the purpose and the intent of our existence.
You're going to kill me.
What?
Let's not say year-long for just the building. Because
I know, because we didn't start until
because
January. I
the
know.
steering
Committee.
was shorter.
You know what we started here? I have it up here. I had it in the
You could just say journey.
spring. In September of 2018. So September, October, November, December, January, February.
Well, September of 18
It's
was
backgrounds.
the kickoff. for
Okay, that's
facilities
right.
assessment.
And November 18, the facilities
then,
team.
Then the steering committee. Then Mark formed the
And the
smaller group.
Yeah, it says in the spring. Okay, the assessment to kick off our facility steering committee meeting in the spring.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's helpful. Yeah, I don't want to, like, because we don't
Because I don't
want
want someone to come back
and say, like, we didn't agree to those. What is she talking about?
Right.
Okay. As our steering committee kicked off in the spring of 2019, we aligned on 4 guiding principles. They are: 1, allow all students and staff to thrive.
You can do those. We can chunk that
Out. Okay.
So if you're happy with that intro, we can go straight into you reading those.
And then do the
summary.
close.
If you're happy with that, yes.
Okay, let me try that opening again because I think I like that.
Okay.
Okay, and then let me try to. I really like to try to get it all the way through. Okay. In the spring of 2019, when the steering committee kicked off, we developed 4 guiding principles. And this was so critical that we were all aligned on the guiding principles. So throughout the process, when we had a disagreement or where we were curious about what path to go down, we could go back and revisit them. They are as follows. Number 1, we would propose something that allowed students and staff to thrive in a safe, supportive, accessible, and collaborative learning environment. Number 2, we would recommend an infrastructure and energy, I won't redo those, and now we'll do the close. You've got those. You know what I mean? I keep screwing them up. Okay, so these 4 guiding principles were very important because they directed us throughout the process. And I'm happy to report our recommendation to the board. We could go back and look at each one of those 4 and check the box because we delivered against all 4. And that's why I am excited about and supportive of our recommendation.
I thought that was great.
Okay.
How'd you feel about it?
Did you think did I stub her up? Okay, let me do that end again because I think I now know maybe what I want to say. But I like that one if this one doesn't work.
Was good.
Okay. So those 4 guiding principles were critical as we went through our journey. And throughout the process, were we able to go back and revisit them? Should there be a disagreement? Should we be concerned about what path to go down? And in the end, with our recommendation, I was so proud that we were able to go back, check the box against all 4 of those, and have a very robust recommendation that we felt confident for the community. I don't know.
That was good.
And you might like the other one better. I don't know. Okay.
I'll go back and watch both.
Yeah, watch both.
And, yeah. But you'll approve, right?
Oh, yeah.
So.
I trust what you, because I just am trying to make sure my words are not.
I think what you're doing is great.
And did
I
I?
love that you're bringing in the components of the 4 because no one else did. So.
Yeah,
it's
because I
important.
don't really want it to be about what I think. I
Right.
want it. What
You're
did we
very much
decide, and what
about-
did we go
right.
back to,
Right,
and that's what
right.
we stayed true to, and that's why I feel good about it.
That's good.
Okay, so I'm gonna try this. I want to do it now one more time, and I want to get my computer keeps trying to get me to do some stupid update. Okay. Okay. Our journey started in the spring of 2019, and one of the most important things we did as we started our journey was to Our journey started in the spring of 2019 as this building steering committee. And what was the most important thing that we did is define our guiding principles. There were 4 of them, and I'd like to share those with you. The first one is in the spring of 2019, our steering committee started the journey. As part of that journey, we did something very important in the upfront, which is define our guiding principles. And there were 4 of them. They are allow all students and staff, okay, hang on. In the spring of 2019, we started the Building Steering Team Committee. We agreed up front that we would define guiding principles that we would use to confirm our recommendation was valid. They are as followed. 1, we would come. Did you like that up front?
I thought that was good.
Okay. In the spring of 2019, we started our journey. The steering team had a kickoff meeting, and very quickly we defined 4 guiding principles that we would use throughout the process, and we would ensure our recommendation delivered against all 4 of those. Those are as follows. Number 1, our recommendation would be allow all students and staff to thrive in a safe, supportive, accessible, and collaborative learning environment. Number 2, we would add infrastructure and energy improvements needed within the next 10 years to the recommendation. Number 3, we would provide benchmark amongst our comparable K through 12 learning environments while providing flexibility to adapt for the future. And number 4, we would optimize our financial resources provided by taxpayers to benefit students, staff, and the community for the next 20 years. These guiding principles, again, were so important, and we referenced them throughout the process. I am very confident in our recommendation that we've delivered against those, and that's what makes me most proud, because when we delivered those, we all said, if we can deliver against these, we will do the right thing for the students, the staff, and the community. That's what makes me the most proud.
That was great.
Okay, and you can cut and do
I thought
whatever.
it was great.
Okay.
I mean, that was like, boom, the whole thing.
Okay. I don't know, you'll have to see on my, maybe I had stated some of those better before, so you can mix those, but
Yeah,
anyway,
I'll
okay.
I'll see if we need to mix them, but that was beautiful.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to add? Are you good? I think
No,
that's-
I think, I just want to leave it. I was going to say something about safety, but what I'm trying not to do is have people poke. Well, she said this about safety,
Right.
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
This is more about, so.
Okay.
But I like your idea of putting those up.
It's going to be great. Yes.
Did I look like I was sitting up?
Yeah, you look like a news anchor. Like, the,
Except for my little waddle.
oh, stuff.
Okay, yes,
good
thank
to
you
just-
for